Brayton, are you ready for another exciting episode of Mentor Moments?
I am. We just want to take this time and just thank you guys for continuing to tune in and listen to Dr. Keener and I chat with some of our awesome guests. It's been a lot of fun, so just thanks again.
And as a reminder, Mentor Moments is a collaboration between Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Student Organization and the Missouri Rehabilitation Association Eastern Chapter. On this episode of Mentor Moments,
it is all about me.
Today, we're going to take a deeper dive and learn a little bit more about Brayton. Brayton is in his last semester here at Maryville University. He's going to share some tips on how he's been successful in school, what he's looking forward to as he wraps up his internship, and then life after graduation. Brayton, I know you're on the hot seat, but I'm pretty excited to hear what you have to say. I'm excited for our listener or listeners to get to know you a little bit more. So we just have a few questions, but let's just get the ball rolling. So how's school going for you right now?
So it's flown by. Like I keep thinking about like first semester like of the program and just how quickly everything goes. It's really depending on like how you decide to go through the program and decide how you go through it, it might be different for other people, but for me, I guess it just felt like a sprint. And it was a good sprint. Obviously I'm learning and I'm soaking in all the information, but like before you know it, you're already at the end and you're like, okay, here we go. So I'm in my last semester of the program, and it's really cool to see the puzzle pieces come together. Different things from different classes. I mean, especially like research. Like we're pulling terms in from research that I thought that I would be completely done with and I would never hear again. Yet here we are learning more about research things and assessments and such like that. But it's really cool to see the puzzle pieces kind of coming together, the terms that we've learned in previous classes coming together, and just getting a more complete picture of what the profession looks like in the real world.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer. And something you said early on, I want to follow up on. You talked about sort of feeling like a sprint, taking courses, but as you know, we're not a cohort model where you have to take X number of classes. So how did you decide to take 2 classes, 3 classes, 4 classes? How did you make that decision?
So I think for me, where I was at kind of in my educational experience, I had just finished my undergrad, and with my goals, the way that like my life was set up, I was living here in St. Louis. I just knew, you know what, I'm ready to get done with school in my own way. Of course, be able to learn, but I knew that with just my life in general, I knew that I had the freedom to be able to take more classes per semester. I knew that I had, the ability to take on that course load, thus finish the program a little quicker than I would say I'd be able to do so at possibly a different program, or if my life was different, I suppose.
Right. Well, I guess hearing you say that kind of make me thinking of those counseling things that we would say, like know yourself, know your best self, know what's good for you, and for you to be able to take 3 or 4 classes a semester, that wasn't overloading you. Maybe coming from an undergraduate model where you're taking 5 or maybe 6 courses a semester.
Right. I just kind of wanted to keep that ball rolling.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm used to this. Let's just keep this ball rolling as much as we can. And I was already, like I said, I was already used to that undergraduate model of taking a bunch of classes.
Yeah.
So
awesome. So the next school-related question, is there, something, you mentioned putting the pieces together. Is there, something, the pieces you're seeing put together, like in your internship side, or something that you were maybe learned that you weren't expecting to learn, or any other insights with content? And
yeah, that's a good question. I'd say disability and career development are things that I didn't think that I would encounter. especially in the role that I'm taking in more of a clinical area, or more mental health area of the field, they're there everywhere. So job development, and disability advocacy will be there no matter where you are working. And I'm seeing that in the case studies that we do in all my classes. I'm seeing that in my internship. Those two aspects will be there no matter where you're working. I promise you that. And so those are classes that I initially were taking. I was like, I'm not sure how this will fit into everything, but I mean, I was really interested in those aspects. And now I'm seeing like, oh, this definitely fits in no matter what, no matter where I end up being, that it plays a part.
Yeah, I guess I hear you saying as well, hopefully it's something that we say often, is approach every class or every sort of course with an open mind, because you sort of just don't know where that information will be used in the future. So sort of, again, just don't shut yourself off to something just because at step one, you didn't necessarily see that as a major force.
Exactly.
All right. So I guess my last question about school is, maybe a soon-to-be student or a first semester student. Do you have a tip, any suggestion for those just starting?
Yeah, I think the last time that like we chatted like just about this, I think I said something like, get to know your classmates, get to know your cohort, get to know like your professors. I'd also say get to know your strengths. Get to know, like, just like how you're getting to know the people around you, really take a minute and just like look in the mirror and figure out like, what are my strengths? What am I good at? And you'd be surprised at how far some individuals get into either their careers or in life, and they have no clue what they were good at or not. And sometimes that can be difficult, but taking that look inward and thinking like, okay, what are my strengths? Where are the places that I'm gravitating towards? And then really capitalize on those things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And to take that even a step further, I mean, that's a typical interview question, right? That we should be able to kind of talk to our strengths, see how they could apply, so again, I think it's good to know. So you also have a new transition in your internship. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my first semester of my internship, I had completed with Youth in Need. I was previously at their emergency shelter, serving as a therapist there. And it was such an awesome experience. I got to see so much. Every single day was completely different. And with this semester, the semester I'm in currently, I have transitioned now into the school-based setting. So now I am in 2 locations, 2 different school districts, serving as a therapist for each of those school districts. And it's been very different. It's been different in some areas, but very same in other ways. But I mean, it's totally different. Yeah.
So it's almost like you've had 3 clinicals now, right?
It feels like
so because again, even your practicum was completely different.
Yeah.
Well.
So, I mean, because I had completed my practicum previously at the at SLU Cancer Center, which was more clinically based and more mental health, and now so yeah, it was. These have all been very different experiences, which I'm thankful for. I love it a lot.
So again, thinking like a potential student, who would, let's just, because you're at Youth in Need now, who would be the ideal student that would do well at Youth in Need? What is sort of...
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, I don't want to go obvious here, but I do want to say, if you have an inclination to working with kids, obviously, and with that comes a lot of other traits that usually those individuals have. So kind of what we already talked about, but be open-minded. Be open-minded to different ideas, new techniques. There's tons of trainings that we go through at Youth in Need that are all kinds of different functions to them. And then I'd also say learn to collaborate. A collaborative student. If you're a student that really likes to collaborate with not only other professionals, but also with parents, that would be a good place to kind of sharpen those skills, is learning to be in a collaborative just approach to mental health care, or just any kind of, case management as well. Definitely point you to Youth in Need for sure.
I'm also thinking, is that primarily a 9 to 5 type of, so you sort of need to be available in the daytime here.
Yeah. Youth in Need is really awesome because Youth in Need has so many locations with so many different needs. So there are opportunities in which maybe a 9 to 5 doesn't work for you. I know that at the shelter they were very flexible
That's
with
good to know.
in terms of times and when I can be there and when I can't because it's a homeless shelter and it's always open, you know. And now doing school based therapy, of course, that's more. I mean, it's from when school starts to when school ends. So that's a bit more of a rigid structure. But Youth Need is very flexible with their locations
Good.
and with their time.
All right. So, tip. What would be maybe a tip for students in securing an internship? What would be helpful for them to know?
Well, I mean, I kind of going back to my last tip, which was like get to know your strengths. Well, like once you know your strengths, then use them. So if let's say that your strength is more working in the vocational area, use those strengths and don't be afraid to reach out to those that are in the voc rehab area and say, hey, my name is yada yada yada. I have such and such strengths. I'm currently in the Maryville University program. I would really like to learn to sharpen these strengths that I have, learn more about the profession, and to pick up on those things. So I guess in order to get those sites, don't be afraid to reach out. Be the first person because usually those things don't just sure they're scary. I totally understand that, but making those that first encounter and making that first initial impression really lets employers know that you're serious about this and that you're somebody that would be a good candidate for an internship or a practicum site.
So you mentioned earlier you're in your last semester and you already have sort of like 1 month gone of that first semester. So 3 months left. So I'm going to ask you to sort of predict in the future here. So how are you planning or preparing for life after graduation?
Yeah. So I first of all am studying a lot for the NCE and the CRC exams. Those are exams that I plan on taking within the next couple of months. So I've been preparing for quite a bit, just making sure that I'm prepared for those two exams. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, will be passing those. And then once I graduate, then I hope to continue working at Youth in Need. I've really enjoyed my time there. I've really been able to connect with a lot of the professionals, which has been great. And ideally, I would like to continue my service through there. And those are that is the plan as of right now. Is pass those exams, graduate, and continue with Youth in Need, and continue getting that supervision, and then get my license after about 2 years of supervision. So yeah, that was my plan at least. Things are always subject to change, but yeah.
Yeah, as of right now.
Right, exactly.
We're gonna hold you to that. We'll do another podcast.
Yeah, in a month it could be. Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Well, what about professional organizations, or how have you thought about maybe staying connected to Maryville profession at a larger scale?
Yeah,
as well?
Absolutely. I mean, already just from being able, I've been very lucky to have the privilege to interview individuals who have been a part of the Missouri Rehabilitation Association, Eastern Chapter, and the people that I've been able to meet have been awesome. Incredibly welcoming, incredibly open to sharing information and sharing, different ideas, different methods of how they work and how they practice. So that is definitely something that whenever I graduate and continue into my professional career, that I want to continue being a part of and participating in. Because just being a student and just being, seeing how close knit. It seems like everybody knows everybody. Like everybody is connected to each other in some way, shape, or form, which is awesome. And as a professional that's going to be, fresh out of college, I would certainly like just that network of individuals that I can not only rely on, but also can work with, hopefully in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I always joke that like the MRA Eastern Chapter is a built-in alumni association for me, the program. So, yeah, I would advocate to stay connected as well. Well, Brayton, I appreciated getting to know you a little bit more. Hopefully our listeners did as well. Any final words?
I don't think so. No, I just thanks again for having me, and I look forward to the next couple episodes that we've got.
Awesome.
So if you're listening to this, that means that you're listening to Mentor Moments. That means that you're probably listening on either Spotify or Apple Music, or maybe you're listening some other way. We just want to recommend that you continue to listen. Tune into some of our previous episodes and stay tuned. Subscribe to us because we'll have plenty more episodes coming your way as well.
In addition to the podcast, we have 2 other ways for you to stay connected with the Missouri Rehabilitation Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. We are proud to announce the creation of a YouTube channel and a blog. Both the blog and the YouTube channel will have all things related to the Missouri Rehab Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. Check us out.